Hey guys, Andy Harwood here from the Vaz+Harwood team. It's January 2026. Welcome to the new year. Happy New Year. I hope you had a great Christmas and New Year's holiday. And I have a few thoughts for you about what this year is going to bring in terms of real estate. I've got three specific, I guess you could call them predictions or things that I think are going to impact the real estate market in the coming months. Before I get into that, if you're watching this on YouTube, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. I would love it. I would love it so much. I would be so excited. Okay, well, before we talk about 2026, let's talk about 2025. We need to talk about 2025. Okay, so what happened in 2025 was that it was a reset year for the real estate and mortgage industry. What do I mean by a reset year? So I want us to go back in time to when we were putting on masks and all that kind of stuff, the pandemic era. And what that had in terms of real estate was absolute insanity. We had crazy low interest rates, and we had a crazy number of people who wanted to buy houses and change their real estate situation. And so it was just pure insanity. And so after that, there was a lot of inflation. Prices went up, housing prices went up in some cases, many cases, double digits, like 10 or 12% in 1 year. So that was crazy, and those rates were like 2.8, 2.75, 3%, that sort of thing. And that dumped a lot of money into the economy, plus all the stuff that the federal government did at that time in terms of subsidizing people and businesses and all that kind of thing. And it caused a lot of inflation. And the Fed had to get a handle on that inflation, so they started raising their rates, which impacted the mortgage rates and everything else in the economy. And we saw a period of fairly high rates after that. I mean, not high in a historical sense, but a lot higher than people were used to at that time. And so 2024 and 2025 have been kind of reset years for real estate, where we've been recovering from this kind of whiplash effect and kind of boiling things down into a more normal market. So last year, we saw the Fed cut rates a few times, and that nudged mortgage rates down quite a bit, a fair amount. And also another thing we saw is that, as usual, in the past few years too, inventory could not keep up with buyer demand. There were still plenty of buyers last year, not as many as in previous years, but we saw that kind of going up. Again, this is all in the reset kind of category. Inventory also upticked a bit more as we saw more people wanting to move. Housing prices rose, but they didn't rise a ton last year. And we don't see like housing prices shooting up a ton this year either, spoiler alert. Time on market for houses also increased in 2025 a bit, but in short, it remained a pretty good seller's market and a better opportunity overall for buyers too. Boots on the ground for us. We were in and out of houses and helping buyers all year, and our clients experienced 2025 as a moderate seller's market, not so crazy as in previous years, and we were also able to get our buyers occasionally some deals, some seller paid closing costs, inspection concessions, new sewer line, all that kind of stuff. So it was a pretty decent reset year. Okay, so 2026, what do I see happening? What do I see the picture looking like for our clients? Well, let me get out my crystal ball and let's see what's in it. Okay, I think that mortgage rates, thing number one, I think that mortgage rates are going to continue to decline or at least hold steady. Why do I think that? Because I've got to hedge this statement a little, because there's actually a number of reasons to think that mortgage rates could start going up again, or at least not go down. But I think they're going to continue to go down. The reason that we've got to hedge that statement a little is because the Fed is still worried about inflation. We've got about 3% inflation, and they're shooting for 2%. They're always shooting for 2%, is kind of their rule of thumb. So in the coming months, the Federal Reserve is going to be looking very closely at the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, the PCE, the personal consumption expenditures, and they're going to continue to shoot for 2% inflation. They're also going to be looking closely at the labor market. They're going to be looking at unemployment, and they're going to be looking at overall GDP, gross domestic product per capita, to see if the economy is growing or shrinking, and then they're going to adjust their rate policy accordingly. So if they feel like the economy in 2026 is growing too fast, they are going to want to increase rates or at least not change the rates so that they don't cause further growth and inflation. So I just made a great argument against my whole point of why I think rates are going to come down. Here's why I think rates are going to at least hold steady and come down. I guess I'm going to cut to the chase now. It's going to be politics. It's going to be politics because both sides, I don't care what side of the political aisle you fall on, both sides are incentivized to want to affect housing affordability. Everybody is concerned about housing affordability in general because it's a kitchen table issue, and we're heading into election cycles and all that kind of thing too. So you can say you're saying, Andy, the Fed's not politicized. No, I think it is. I think it is enough that there's some kind of a bit of a factor there. We're going to have a new Fed chairperson too. So yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think anyone has the stomach now that we've seen some rate relief. I don't think they have the stomach to increase rates unless the Fed starts getting concerned about inflation and the economy growing too fast or something like that. Okay, so, and I think that would be a great thing for our buyers, obviously, and our sellers to see a little bit more rate improvement, maybe get into the low sixes or something like that. I think that'd be fantastic. That would help a lot more people get into houses and just have a little bit better payment and a little bit better affordability. Okay, thing number 2. Home sales are going to increase in 2026. I think we're already seeing it. Okay, why will there be more homes for sale or being transacted in 2026? One of the big reasons for that, for the lack of inventory, the low inventory that we've seen in recent years, is because of something called the lock-in effect. This means that there are so many people, the vast majority, I don't know, maybe 80-90% plus of American mortgage holders have a mortgage that is 4% or lower. And so that's called the lock-in effect. You don't want to move. You don't want to trade your 2.875% mortgage for a 6.875 mortgage if you don't have to. But why is the lock-in effect disappearing? Well, it's human nature. Most people are making moves for human reasons. And so people change jobs. They need to move from state to state or across town. They have babies. They grow their families. They outgrow the size of their house. They work from home. They want 2 home offices. They get married. They change their life situation, and the housing needs change. And so that is going to help increase inventory with that lock-in effect disappearing. The other thing that goes along with that is that sellers who bought in the pandemic now have more equity in their homes. They have enough equity after 5 or 4 years that they can sell and get quite a bit out of the house and make another move, and it's comfortable for them. So it may make sense to do it while their family is growing and they want that other house, or whatever their situation is. They have some equity and they're not just doing this thin with no margin. And the other thing that will increase home sales is what we talked about. Lower rates will increase the number of buyers out there. So that's thing number 2. Thing number three, prediction number three, is that I think affordability will improve. And one of the reasons that affordability, everybody's talking about affordability, and I know some people are feeling like it's, still not affordable. There's arguments to be made there. But 2026 is going to see wage growth outpacing housing prices. We have not seen that for quite a few years. We've seen housing prices outpacing wage growth. So seeing people make more money in their jobs, that's outpacing how the housing prices are going up. That's going to help with the affordability equation. Affordability is all subjective. It's all about how you feel about something. Is a $4 loaf of bread versus an $8 loaf of bread affordable? It all depends on how much money you're making and what your overall expenses are and what your situation is, right? Okay, so obviously also affecting affordability again is lower interest rates, which we're already experiencing. So I think affordability will improve in 2026 a little bit, at least enough to make a difference for some people. So those are my three big things that I'm looking for and looking forward to. But just to sum up, I think the American dream will be alive and well in 2026, and many people will be enjoying getting into houses at more houses to choose from at a little bit better rate. And also, rent is going up too. Rent is going to go up in 2026. So if you are a first-time home buyer or you're a renter, what should you be doing in the coming months or coming weeks? If you want to buy a house, get your finances in order. Get them in as good a shape as possible. Pay your taxes. Get that done. Lenders need tax returns in order to pre-approve you. Okay, work on your credit. Most people can fix their credit or improve their credit in a lot less time than they think they can. And start setting aside some money every month for that down payment and closing costs. Just put it in a cookie jar, one of those Cookie Monster kind of things. Put it in there. And also, start going to open houses. Open houses are a great way to learn about houses and get your head in the game with real estate. So Shirley and I are always here to help and answer any real estate questions. And I hope you have a wonderful coming weeks and months of 2026. And if you're looking to buy or sell a house, you know who to talk to.